was hanging around my best friend a lot at that time, and my girlfriend, who I had just broken up with, she was calling me every day. You know, Michelle, just saying different things to me. I miss you, sending me songs, sad songs, through text message for me to listen to, and I listened to all of them. Asking me, what am I gonna do? Are we gonna be together or not? So that she'll know if she needs to move on with her life. And she didn't want me to leave out of the relationship, and I had to let her know, you know, this is my life. You know, I know that she probably don't know how it feels to grow up with a family whose dreams became reality. So I could not dismiss the fact that my sister just had a dream about me passing away. I couldn't dismiss that. So when I was asking her, you know, you want me to die? Like, maybe God is telling me, Michelle, if you don't leave this relationship, you're gonna lose your life. Do you want me to die? She didn't say no, but she didn't say yes either, but she didn't say no. She still wanted me to stay. So when she was calling me every day, it was just putting the pressure on me, the pressure. And you know, every day, laying on the floor, everyone had moved on with their lives. You know, my sister is married. My brother was married. All of them had their own kids. It was just me and my son. So when she was calling me and she was telling me, you know, in my ear, and I was listening, she was in my ear telling me everybody moved on with their life and you're the only one being miserable, allowing other people to dictate your life, telling you how to live your life when you know this is not even what you wanted to do. And to be honest, it's not what I wanted to do. But I also knew that my son needed me. So it was bigger than me. That's how I felt. So, you know, the longer I laid on that floor and everybody was moving on with their life, I was just like, Michelle, you might as well go back. Because every day you're miserable. You're miserable. You can't find no content. And this was probably, and I know it was, the devil just rehearsing things over and over and over and over in my head. And there was this guy that I was talking to at the time, hoping that, you know, I could like him enough to pull me out of that lifestyle, but nothing was working. Nothing was working. I was missing the relationship, missing the affection, missing the attention. And I was going to church with my brother, and she even popped up one time and looking at me with those puppy dog eyes from way from across the room, like, are you gonna come back? Are you gonna come back? It's our anniversary. Are you gonna come back? And I didn't go back. I told her that she just had to allow time. Well, long story short, I ended up going back, and we just picked up where we left off. There were so many things that happened in this relationship. I hope I can name most of them, but I may miss a few. And I was trying to do it in like a chronological order, but all of them may not be. So we ended up being able to close on our house. Before that, she wanted to be on the deed. She could not be on the loan because she hadn't been on her job for very long. The conversation that we had, I told her, I said, you know, I don't mind putting you on the deed. And she ended up coming back to me and saying, hey, you know, I was talking to my mom, and my mom told me that if me and you decided to break up, one would have to buy the other out. And I'm looking at her like, what are you talking about? I didn't go do no type of research like that because it was not in my mind that we were going to ever break up. That was nowhere in my head. So when she said that and she brought that information to me, I felt like she was planning to leave, like she already knew that something was going to go wrong. And we had already broken up twice by this time. And besides, the first time us breaking up, that was the first time was on me. I left for myself. But every other time after that was because of her and her lies and her deceit and her manipulation. So before we actually moved into the house, we had already broken up twice, and maybe in her head she felt like it was going to happen again, and maybe we weren't going to last. So she said, "Are you sure you want to put me on a deed?" I said, "Yeah, but where did this conversation come from?" So it got my wheels turning in my head. So I'm looking like, should I do this? Should I put her name on this deed after I've worked so hard for so long to build this 401k, to build this time invested on my job, to be able to sign the loan and fix my credit, to be able to do all these things, and then we break up, and then she can buy me out because her family had money. My family didn't. So we already knew who would buy who out. I ended up telling her, I'm not putting your name on the deed. You can come with me if you like, but the only way your name will go on a deed is if we have the same last name. Once we have the same last name, if that ever happens, that's when I will put your name on the deed. And I promised her that. And she began to cry. That was part of her manipulation. When she cried, anytime she cried, she would always go on her back porch to make it seem like it's so deep. Well, God began to talk to me. At the time, I didn't know it was God. I just thought it was me just picking up on her spirit. She used to make herself cry. She was very good at faking crying. She used to make herself cry often. She cried because I told her I wasn't putting her name on the deed. And I told her, I said, I'm sorry, because she began to say, you lied to me. You told me that you were going to do this, and now you're going back on your word. You're not real. This is very fake, and you're a liar. And I said, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but there's nobody that's going to be able to take what I worked hard for and just be able to take it from up under me because of what they did. I said, because if we break up, it's not going to be because of what I've done. I know who I am. I know who I am in a relationship, and I knew that I was 100% faithful, and I knew that I was in the relationship for the long ride, but I wasn't so sure about her. So because of that, I didn't do it. Long story short, she ended up saying, well, I'm still going to come. I said, and I already knew she was going to come because I knew her. She still ended up coming, and we moved in, even though she did not bring not one box home when I was trying to pack up the house and just get everything together. She worked at a shoe store. She did not bring not one box home. She waited until the very last minute, and I'm bringing that part up because of the inconsideration. Very inconsiderate. I'm trying to tell her, hey, the realtor said we're going to get the house, so go ahead and start packing. Every day she came home from the shoe store, no box. I'm working at a corporate job and bringing boxes home. You surely can do the same thing. You want to move into this house so bad, but you're not handling the situation correctly. Okay. I dismissed it because I was like, I'm not going to make a big deal about something that small. When we finally got the key, she wanted to come in to the office to sign the papers with me. I signed off, and we got the key. Immediately, she decided to post it on Facebook. And I'm just saying to myself, listen, like, it's not that serious. She was such a, I don't even know the right word. She was just such a Facebooker. Like, everything she did, everywhere we went, everything she bought me, she had to put it on Facebook. And that's another thing. She showered me with gifts, just because gifts, birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, whatever it was, she showered me with them. So I told her, I said, you know, I asked her, why did you make that post? I told you that I would make it at my own, you know, when I wanted to. Because she did ask me, hey, are you going to post the keys to our new house and just tell Facebook that we bought a new house? And I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to do it right now. We're moving. Well, as she's driving, she posted it. I don't even know how she could drive and type up all those words without getting into an accident, but she did. And it made me mad. I was very upset because your name ain't nowhere even on the house, but you're trying to make it seem like you worked so hard for this house. Sleepless nights. You did not have a sleepless night. I did. Now, one thing I can say is that she did do what I asked her to do, and she stopped buying shoes. I said, you know, we need to stop buying shoes. I don't know what it's going to look like. We need to stop going out. We need to stop buying alcohol. We need to stop shopping for a couple of months so that we can build and have money set aside just in case we need it. And she did. She stopped. So once we moved into the house, everything was good. It brought us closer, but it did not stop the mishaps, the ordeals, the women, the disrespect. None of that really stopped. I kept expressing to her that I wanted to steer our focus in another direction. You know, we accomplished the goal. Let's go further. Let's go further and accomplish a different goal. Let's start on another goal. We got the house. Let's shoot for something else. So once we moved into the house, I believe we started working from home. Once we started working from home, we both started working from home around the same time. I caught COVID. Once I got diagnosed with COVID, at first I didn't know I had COVID. I thought it was just a cold or a flu. I told my girlfriend to check my temperature because I was like, I feel entirely too hot. I feel entirely too sick. She checked my temperature and it was 103. And she was like, no, the thermometer is broke. And I said, that thermometer is not broke. I need you to take me to the hospital. She took me to the hospital. And the doctors, they ran tests. They did tell me that I had COVID, and they sent me back home. Well, I couldn't walk. I was walking like an old lady, bent over. I was just a mess. I was weak. I couldn't seem to get myself together. For some reason I could hardly see. When I went to the restroom, it seemed like I was hurting on my side, on both of my sides. But I thought it was from the futon I was laying on, because the futon at my house, it had like dips and humps in it. And I was laying on that so that I wouldn't lay in the bed, so that I wouldn't get her sick. So I was constantly taking medication, constantly taking Tylenol, just whatever I can find, drinking emergency, eating soup, the broth from the soup, and nothing was working. So when they sent me back home, it was like the middle of the night. My son came out the room. I don't even know why. He said, "Mom, are you okay?" And I was like, "Vincent, I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I'm okay, but I'm not sure." I said, "But I will be okay." And when I laid back down, it had to have been God. It told me, they're gonna call you back. They're gonna call you back to come back to the hospital. So sure enough, 6 o'clock that next morning, I got a phone call, and I already knew what it was. And the man He sounded it was so urgent. He said, you have to get here now. You got to get back to this hospital right now. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, can you tell me why? And he said, we found bacteria in your blood and you can't wait. I said, okay, can I just hop in the shower? He said, yeah, hop in the shower, pack your bags, because you're going to get admitted. I go in the room and I tell her, you got to, come on, you got to take me back to the hospital. And for some reason, I was scared because I knew what bacteria in your blood meant, but I couldn't, it's like I shedded a tear or two, but that was all I could do. I grabbed my Bible. Even though in a whole lesbian relationship, drinking, getting drunk all the time, all of that, I bet I snapped into reality then. I grabbed my Bible, put it in my bag. I grabbed my clothes, my toothbrush, all of my belongings that I felt like I needed, and I put it in my bag, took me a shower, headed out. When we got to the hospital, I didn't have to wait on nothing. They was waiting on me. Took me to the back. This man came in with this, he had on this outfit, like it was like Terminator. I'm talking like these breathing things these two hoses coming from out of his face mask. He had on a bodysuit on top of another bodysuit, and it was like a ventilator in the room, and they put me in there, and he kind of turned his head to the side, and his voice was muffled because of this mask he had on. He said, Miss Holloway. And I'm looking around because I don't know what's happening. And I said, yes, sir. He said, what are you feeling right now? And I said, well, I took Tylenol before I left the house, so I'm okay. I feel okay. I don't feel like myself, but I feel okay. And he said, how does your back feel? And can you breathe? And all these questions. And I'm like, yeah, I can do everything just fine. And he's just shaking his head, looking at me in my eyes. He checked everything. He said, okay, we have to take you up to your room, but your partner can't stay. And I said, well, what do you mean? I'm being admitted. She can't stay with me? And he said, no, nobody can come in the room with you at all, ever, for the time that you're here. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. He said, I have to be secluded. Because, this is around the time when COVID first came out, within the first year or two maybe. So I was like, okay. And he said, you have bacteria in your blood, and we have to start you on antibiotics immediately. And I said, well, is this like life or death? And he said, to be honest, we don't know. It can be. He didn't say it can be, but he was beating around the bush. He didn't want to come out and say, we don't know if you're going to live. What he said was, we don't know if this is going to work because it's already in your bloodstream. We are just trying it out to see if it's going to work for you. And she looked at me and gave me this look, and you could see the fear in her eyes. And we basically said goodbye. I was wheeled up to my room, and there was no window. The only window I had was to see outside, and all I could see was people entering into the hospital. And when people are life lifted to the hospital on the helicopter, that's all I could see. I couldn't, like I said, nobody could come in the room, and I couldn't see people walking past. They had everything like closed off. In my room was like a air filter, and the door had to be closed at all times. The TV was broken. It was like black and white. I mean, it was just very depressing. It was very depressing. And I had to stay there for 4 days. And I didn't tell my family because I didn't want to startle anyone. And at the time, we were planning a trip to take my son and my friends' kids out of town because they were getting ready to, I think they were getting ready to go back to school, or they were getting out of school. It was the summertime. So we had planned a trip and I couldn't go. So my girlfriend was still trying to go, and I was like, well, maybe you shouldn't go, maybe you should just stay here. And she was like, you know what, you're right, I'm just going to stay here. So they came in, they, you know, every day it was just drawing blood, I mean, at least 4 times a day, and I was in there for 4 days. And it just seemed like I was getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And it was like, we got to get you to have a bowel movement. You're not having any bowel movements. This is not working. We're going to put you on more antibiotics. And I was like, oh my gosh. So in that moment, God had to have been speaking to me again and basically was telling me, I'm putting you by yourself. Number one, to let you know that you don't need nobody. Because in my relationship with her, I felt like I needed her. It was almost like a need to survive, like a need to breathe. Because I remember one time when I tried to leave her, I was driving on the expressway and I was going to get my hair done. And I had to call my brother to pray with me because I started like hyperventilating on the expressway, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. And he was like, Michelle, you know, I'm gonna pray with you, but right now it's like you're going through withdrawals from a human, and you're gonna have to fight through it. You're gonna have to fight through it. Long story short, with that, I didn't feel like I was strong enough to leave her, so I ended up going back. So when I was in the hospital, God was talking to me. I didn't know what to read. I was just reading anything. But I felt like I was there just so that I can come back to reality. Because I really wasn't myself in that relationship. The things that I was allowing her to do to me when it came to women, just all the chances that I was giving her, all of the things that I was finding out, I was letting them slide. Even though I didn't have concrete proof or facts that she was cheating, it was just the little things that I was finding I was dismissing. And every time I left her, I would go back. And every time we broke up, she would go out and, I'm just gonna keep it blunt, be intimate with all these women, and all this information will always come back to me. And then I would always let her come back. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be with those people. I want to be with you, and I want to do this, and I want to do that with you. I want to be a family, you know. And I would always say, well, you know, you want to be here, but when you're in the relationship, you're not being 100% honest with me. Well, you haven't caught me in any real lies. Real lies? I mean, it was just always manipulation and deception. So anyway, when I was in that hospital, it was like, it was a sense of reality. She was calling me and she was letting me know, hey, I'm going here. Hey, I'm doing this, but I couldn't keep track of her. I didn't know what she was really doing. All I know is for 4 days, she had complete freedom. My mind wasn't even on that. My mind was surviving. My mind was on surviving. My mind was on living. My mind was on making it out. And Michelle, what you gonna do when you make it out of here? All these things that you've done up until this point, what are you going to do with your life? Not just your life, but you have a whole nother life, your son. What are you gonna do with your time? What are you gonna do with me? This is what God was telling me as I'm sitting in this bed. I couldn't go nowhere. I couldn't walk out my room and just walk up and down the hallway because they had everything secluded, everybody closed off. You couldn't walk. People were losing their lives in other rooms. People were dying around me on the same floor as me. My nurse came in and she said, I just want to tell you thank you, because you are my best patient. These people on this floor have so many issues. I could hear people crying for help, begging, coughing. I can't breathe, somebody help me. And it was nothing that the nurses could do, because they were already on the ventilator, but they were slipping away. They were dying. They were in the process of dying. And I remember my girlfriend calling and saying, hey, you know, are they going to let you out? What is happening? What is happening? I said, you know, I'm waiting on the doctor to let me know if the medication is working, if the antibiotics are working. So they ended up telling me that I had a kidney infection. Now, the doctor was asking me, have you ever been hospitalized? Have you ever had this? Have you ever had that? And I'm like, I've never been in the hospital ever before besides giving birth to my son. I've only had one surgery to get a lump removed out of my breast. Other than that, I've never been to the hospital. And so he was looking at me, examining my body, and he literally told me out of his mouth, he said, I'm confused. I said, aren't you the kidney specialist? He said, yeah, I'm the blood specialist and the kidney specialist, and I still can't make sense of what's going on in your body. Do you have any open wounds? We're trying to figure out how the infection entered into your body. I said, sir, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. And I wasn't going to sit there and think about it, because I didn't have any answers. He's supposed to be giving me answers. So he said, okay. He said, usually I will be able to tell the patient how to prevent this from happening again. He said, but I don't have anything to say. I'm lost. And I said, okay. He said, but good news is the antibiotics are working. We just need to make sure you're eating, bowel movement, all of that. I did end up gaining all of my strength back. I went home after 4 days, came back home to my girlfriend at the time. She got the yard done, very nice gesture. She had a heart in the middle of the yard. It was very nice. But I couldn't sleep. I was traumatized, because I knew I could have lost my life. I knew I could have died. And I knew that it was nobody but God that saved me. So from there, my car broke down. I still was out of work because I still didn't have my full strength back. I was out of work for 6 months. My HR manager at the time, he sent me a letter in the mail basically threatening to fire me. So that broke me down. And I called the vice president of the company, and I'm just like, how can this even happen? Like, I'm literally about to die, and he's sending me a letter telling me that I'm on the verge of losing my job. And she was like, you know, don't worry about it, get better, you know, I'll take care of it. My car broke down. My girlfriend ended up telling me, hey, you need to go get a new car. You need to do something nice for yourself. I ended up getting a brand new car. And then she wanted a new car. And it was just, it was every time I do something or my son do something, she wants to do something as well. So, I was trying to tell her, just wait. It didn't make sense for us to do that right then. Just wait. We ended up getting engaged, and she eventually got her new car, and she did this very huge engagement. The first time she got ready to propose, it was going to be on a plane. That did not work out. We ended up breaking up because of some things that I found in her phone. She was basically cheating. And from there, she ended up telling me that she was going to propose on a plane. That did not work. From there, we waited a little while and she proposed again. It was a very nice proposal at Calvert Chop House. The video went viral. I mean, she went all out. It was extremely, extremely nice. The whole evening was nice. Well, after that proposal, we planned our wedding. It got to a point where I bought my dress. My bridesmaids bought their dresses. My girlfriend at the time, my fiance, and her side of the wedding party, they were getting ready to get fitted for their tux. We were having meetings, we were putting a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of money into the wedding. Well, another incident happened. And this incident, it got a little deep. I ended up going through her Apple Watch, and I found all these conversations between her and different women. And need I mind you, at this time, we're engaged. We're not even married yet. We're engaged. You're cheating. Not only are you cheating, but you're cheating with women that are your friend on Facebook. You're cheating with, you were cheating with the women that you were telling me were just your friends. I did not agree with block parties. We were going to block parties at the beginning of the relationship, but I ended up telling her, let's do away with the block parties. Those aren't important. So once we got engaged, she was like, you're going to have to start trusting me. And I was like, you know what? You're 100% right. So the day that I found my dress, the day that I found my wedding dress, I had been out all day long, and she was home. And so when I got back home, she was like, did you find your wedding dress? And I said, yes, I did. So I'm thinking we're going to go out and go to like a restaurant and sit down and eat and celebrate. But no, she was like, oh, I'm finna go to my friend's house, her best friend's house. So I was like, that's kind of weird. I said, you sure? And she was like, yeah. So, me being on this trust you kick, this trust you type of time, because we're about to get married, I was like, let her go. So I laid down on the sofa and I went to sleep. Even though I felt like that was not the time for that, I let her go. I didn't want to be controlling. Well, after everything came out, that day that she left and went to her friend's house, it wasn't her just going to go to her friend's house. She was going to do something that she wasn't supposed to be doing. And when I went through her Apple Watch and I went through her phone, I was able to see everything. Conversations about, like, sexual conversations about what the girl wanted to do to her and what she wanted to do to the girl. You're at a block party and I'm with my best friend at like a car show out of town, and you are texting, meeting up on the phone. Like, as soon as I walked out the door to get in the car with my best friend, she hops on the phone with this girl and they're talking about the things that they want to do. And we're engaged, planning a wedding. And I'm seeing all of this stuff as I'm going through the Apple Watch. And it wasn't just one, it wasn't just two, it was about 3 girls. So one of the girls I decided to call. And I called her because I decided to call her because it was something about the conversation that made me want to call her. And not only that, my girlfriend was going to her baby shower or her son's birthday party or something. And at that time, my girlfriend made it such a big deal to go to a friend's birthday party or baby shower. And I'm like, why are you making it such a big deal? And we're having problems in our relationship. And I'm not dressed. You didn't remind me or anything. So whenever I seen the girl name pop up in the Apple Watch, it made me want to call her. Well, in the moment of me calling her, she didn't answer the phone. She texts and said, "May I ask who is this?" And I said, "This is Michelle, your friend's girlfriend. If you could please give me a call back." And she was like, "Oh, yeah. I'm at my mom's house. I'll call you back in a minute." So I said, "Cool." Long story short, later on, I found out that when the girl already knew who I was when I called the phone. She was on the phone with my girlfriend as they were creating a story to tell me. Because my girlfriend didn't know I had her Apple Watch, but the girl that my girlfriend was cheating on me with knew my phone number. And the only way she would know that is if my girlfriend put her up on game. Now we about to get married and you're putting someone up on game about me. Cool. So the girl ended up calling back and she was like, I was asking her questions. Did y'all have a sexual encounter? Well, yeah, we did at the beginning of y'all relationship. At the beginning of our relationship. And she was like, yeah, we did. And then she said that something about my girlfriend told her that she told me. I said, no, she didn't tell me anything. She did not come clean about anything. When my girlfriend, I was letting the mistress know that when she was doing a live video one time, I saw my girlfriend watching her live video. The feeling, the vibe that I got from her as she was watching the video let me know that she had a thing for her. And it automatically sent the red flag. So anytime I seen this mistress like a video, like a picture, like a status or anything like that, I got defensive. So, you know, when I got back home, my girlfriend was acting like nothing happened. I mean, she was just very calm. Oh, hey, what's up, babe? Oh, you went and talked to your friend. Y'all had a good conversation. Oh, okay, that's good. I mean, a regular conversation like it's a regular day. We ended up breaking up again. So this is like the fourth breakup. I ended up going to Las Vegas with my cousins. I needed to get away, my cousins and my son. While I'm out of town, I'm getting all kind of reports about my girlfriend getting different girls' phone numbers. She's, you know, just the way that she's moving. She's crying over me, but at the same time, she's being a thought out in the streets. And I had to let my friend know, you know, hey, I'm on vacation. I'm trying to enjoy myself, which I can't because you keep calling me. So I'm really just trying to move on with my life. Well, I went back again. So this time was the last time that we got back together and broke up. We both kind of noticed that we need to make some changes. We need to make a decision. We need to get it together. I mean, her mom and her mom's friend sat us down, had a conversation with us. I think everybody was kind of at a point where they were tired of us breaking up, and so were we. And I mean, my poor son, no telling what was going through his head. So we decided to live separately, but in a relationship. Because I just felt like I couldn't trust her, of course. And she, you know, she was okay with it. And but this time it was I had a totally different feeling. It was so uneasy. The feeling that I had was very uneasy, and I just felt like something was about to happen. Of course, I didn't know what. I can say this, that towards the end of our relationship, when she was living in the house with me, so before the last breakup, I was having dreams of exorcisms being performed on me. And I would wake up and I would say, you know, hey, did you see my body lift up off the bed? And she would look at me like she was just frightened, like, what? And I'm like, I could have sworn my body just lifted up off the bed. And she was like, no, you probably was dreaming. Or I'll look over at her and say, you didn't just see me scuffling for my life in my sleep? And she'll say something like, well, I heard you gasping for air. And I'm like, well, why did you just, you know, let me lay there? Why didn't you nudge me or push me to try to wake me up? Because of the dreams were so intense, until it's like I was fighting for my life in my dreams towards the end of the relationship. There was so much going on in that relationship, so it was like a heavy weight on my shoulders, and I didn't know how to get out. So but I knew that I needed to leave, but at the same time I was still fighting for the relationship. I was confused. I was very, very, very confused. So, and to keep me from having to fight against myself and fight against God and fight against all these other things, all these feelings and emotions, I just went along with what I knew. And all I knew was my girlfriend. All I knew was the lesbian lifestyle. That's where I was comfortable. I was comfortable there. I did not want to uproot me and my child from where we were comfortable to go and be uncomfortable. I wasn't willing to do that, so I didn't. I stayed in it. And one of my lesbian friends was actually preaching to me and telling me, Michelle, you don't need to marry her. You don't need to marry her. And I'm saying to myself, how you gonna tell me what I don't need to do? And you in a lesbian relationship yourself. But I guess she was saying, you know, it goes a little bit deeper when you get married. You know, it's a deeper bond. I guess that's what she was trying to say. But she wasn't the person to tell me that. I didn't listen to her. I didn't listen to nobody. I did what I wanted to do, what I felt like was best for me. But then again, I was going off of my feelings and my emotions. So we decided to live apart. But I knew something was going to happen. So it was about time for her birthday. And it was around the beginning of the year. They were having like this big birthday bash. Every season they have a birthday bash, and we went to I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to do what she wanted to do to celebrate. So during this time, let me back up again. During this time, before we broke up, there was this girl that she was dealing with, that she was talking to. Never seen this girl before, didn't know anything about her. The unknown mistress, because I don't know her, I don't know her name. The unknown mistress was friends with my girlfriend, best friend. And supposedly, while we were together, my girlfriend at the time went to her best friend's party or somebody's party, and they were the unknown mistress and my girlfriend did something in the bathroom. I found that out later. They continued to mess around even whenever she went to this block party. When I caught myself giving her freedom, they were messing around this whole time. So during one of the breakups, I believe it was the fourth breakup. We had a total of 5. I believe it was the fourth breakup that I was taking up a trade, and so I was in school while I was out with COVID. And during that time frame, like I said, we broke up, and she was coming up to the school to try to win me back. And in that time, she did tell me that she was talking to somebody. But of course, you didn't tell me that, you know, this is the same girl that I've seen in your Apple Watch. So she made it seem as though it was two different people. And me not having all facts, I just believed whatever she said. So she's telling me this story because she used to DJ at this club around the corner from my school. And she told me, she said, yeah, this, you know, I gotta make a police report because somebody came up to my job while I was DJing and keyed my car. So I said, well, number one, that is a girl, and that ain't just a random girl. That is somebody that you are messing with. And of course, she lied. She didn't. She made it be what she wanted. She made the story to be what she wanted the story to be. And the keying of the car was full circle around the whole entire car, full circle, big, and left a bottle of Patron on the hood of the car. So that was sending a message. And that's what I told her. I said, somebody's sending a message to you. So during that breakup, and whenever we got ready to go celebrate her birthday, she said she wanted to go to Onyx. So I said, are you sure you want to go to Onyx? Because in my head, that's where everybody's going to be. And I didn't have time to run into this unknown mistress. I had already found her on Facebook, and my cousin did investigation. So I found her. I was able to find out where she lived and everything. So I was able to pull up a picture of her. So I already knew how she looked. So just in case if I ever seen her out in person, I would not be surprised. So I said, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because 9 times out of 10, this girl is going to be there. No, I don't think they're going to be there. I still want to go. I said, okay. I paid for the VIP. We went to the club, but I told my cousins and the other friends that were in the VIP booth with us, I said, I'm not drinking tonight because I just had a feeling. Lo and behold, the minute we walk into VIP, in one big VIP, it was two or three VIPs. The first section in that one big VIP was the girl right there. So my cousin said, Michelle, there she go right there. And I said, well, just let me walk in. I don't want to make eye contact right now. I want to get to my section, get my back up against the wall so that I could scope everything out. As I'm looking, they're looking, they're drinking. Alcohol is in everybody's system. My girlfriend at the time, she was really, really, really drunk, standing all up on the sofas and everything, but I knew that it was her birthday. But I could feel her vibe. She was being petty. So she just kept like getting up and going to the bar, not really saying much to me. And then she went out of the VIP and she went to the front. So I decided to follow her after so long. And I went up there and I told her, I said, you got one time to try me, and it's gonna be me and you fighting. You got one time to mess up, and it's gonna be me and you. And I told her that I am not going to tolerate another individual's disrespect. And I left it like that. Of course, she was like, what are you talking about? She didn't even know that I knew that the girl was in the section with us. She didn't even know that. I didn't say anything. I left it alone. So as we're walking back, she decided to hold my hand. Now you want to hold my hand and be together, because at first she wasn't doing any of that. And as we're walking to the crowd, through the crowd, a girl called out her name and was like, "Oh, you acting funny today?" And I mean, everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew who I was. So for her to say that while I was right there, I didn't say anything. I just kept walking. I looked at her, kept walking. She said, "Oh, you weren't acting funny the other day." My girlfriend did not say anything to her. She just kept walking. We get back into the VIP. She tries to walk out again. So her best friend, my fiance's best friend, said, "Oh, I'm not going out of the DJ booth with her no more. She doing too much. I don't like how she moving. She doing too much." So, as she's walking past them, I don't know what happened. I don't even know how it happened. They ended up getting into it. And I walk over there. They tried to, our people tried to hold me back. And I said no. I walked over there. And the girl, the unknown mistress, just stared at me. Now, I'm not a fighter. I'm not in the streets, but I won't let no one push over me. And I won't let anybody fight me without me fighting back. So what's mine, I'm going to fight for. Even though we weren't on good terms, we were trying to get there. And all I knew is what I was told. So I was defending her based on what she told me. So, I'm me and the girl is eye to eye at this point. She got on these shades, but I see you're staring at me like she saw a ghost. And I said, "Oh, hey." And I blinked a couple of times because I was trying to be petty. I was trying to be funny. I said, "How are you?" And I know exactly who you are. "How are you?" And she just looked me up and down, and she kind of like turned back around, went back over. The night escalated. I think I went to the restroom. They ended up getting into a scuffle, like a fight. I came back and was told about the fight that happened, and they tried to kick my fiance at the time out the club, and just all kind of stuff. So, I was to a point where I was ready to go, but nobody else was. So we stayed. We waited to the end of the club, which was around 2:30, and everybody in our section knew the other people that worked in the club. So we were able to stay after, take pictures, continue to drink if we wanted to. But I think I had maybe 1 or 2 drinks, and that was it. I was ready to go home. As we're walking out of the club, I'm not paying attention to nothing because I didn't feel like I needed to. All I hear was my fiance's best friend tell my cousin, "Pop the trunk." So I'm like, "Pop the trunk?" And I guess that was a blind moment for me because I know what pop the trunk mean, but I didn't think that she was saying it in that way. She said, "Pop the trunk." So my cousin goes to the car, and I see her come out of, go to the car, pop the trunk, do this, do that, getting all this stuff, taking off her shoes. And I'm like, why she got her shoes off? I look to the left. These same girls are standing to the side, ready to fight. And I'm looking around like, who y'all finna fight? What is happening over here? So for whatever reason, I go straight. It's like something just pulled me, and my body just went right on over there to them, and I got in the girl's face, and I just stared at her, and she reached her hand in her purse, and she was kind of holding her purse and with her hand in there, and she said, "Don't you touch me." I said, "I ain't gonna have to. I don't have to touch you." And my cousin was like, "Michelle, no, we not finna do this." Then you got my fiance's best friend. She's with them. She's on the side with them. She goes in her bra. We already know what you finna do. Pull out a blade. You got your boyfriend with you, and he looks like he's ready to fight as well. Like he might hit a female, and we don't really have that many people with us. And one of the people that we have with us is drunk. So they have a man, and it's like 4 of them. And they all seemed like they were ready to fight me. We got into like a little argument, and somebody said, or it might have been me, I don't know. Somebody said, they called out my fiance's name, and they said, this is all your fault. Who you need to be dealing with is her. So I turned around and slapped her to the ground. Like she hit the ground, because it is all her fault. You got all this commotion going on outside the club. You know, this girl could have pulled out a gun and shot me. The other girl could have cut me because maybe they felt threatened. I don't know. They were reaching for their weapons, but nobody never did anything. But it could have happened. So I turns around and I hit her, because look at all of this stuff that you have created when you could have just went your separate way. You didn't have to stay in the relationship. If that's, you know, if this is who you are, be who you are. Don't lie. So my cousin was like, Michelle, just come on. Like, we not even finna do this. So my cousin gets in the driver's seat, I get in the passenger seat, and the other two get in the back. And I'm in a rage at this point, so I'm hitting her. I'm hitting my fiance. I'm fighting her. She can't fight me back, but I'm still fighting her. Because I'm telling her, you stupid. Like, look at everything that you done did. And, you know, you quote unquote saying that you want your family and stuff like that. So we're on the expressway now. And I told her, you can forget about a relationship. You can forget about a marriage. You can forget about us getting back together. This is too much. I can't do it. She opens the car door. We're on the expressway. Oh, you don't want to be with me? Cool. Open the car door. And her friend is like, what in the world? Yanks her back. I had to close the door, you know, be halfway in the front, halfway in the back, trying to close the door, while her friend is holding her back from killing herself. Because that's what would have happened if you would have tumbled out the car on the expressway, and my cousin doing about 75. Next day, my fiance is acting like she don't remember anything. I don't remember that happening. I don't remember that happening. I don't remember you hitting me. I don't remember opening the door on the expressway. I don't remember this. I don't believe it. I believe she remembered everything. She just did not want to face the facts. She didn't want to feel like she was in the wrong. Fast forwarding to further into the end of the relationship. I know I told her that I wasn't going to proceed with anything, but again, I went back on my word. She didn't come live back in the house, but we continued to see where things would go. So, you know, we were trying to see where things were going to go. And well, let me back up a little bit. That night, after we got back to the house, we got into it. Me and my fiance got into it. And or this may be another night after that. Maybe another party after that. She was still celebrating her birthday. After we got back to the house after that party, we got into it, and she said, oh, you know what, I'm finna leave. No, this was the same night. I'm finna leave. And I said, oh, you're gonna leave? And she said, yeah, I don't want to be here. Like, she began to get really cocky, even though, you know, I had found out all of these things that she had done, everything, all the cheating and everything, and all the lies, deceit, manipulation. She didn't care. She was still leaving. So I was like, okay, cool, you can leave. So I got in my car and I drove to the girl house. Don't know why I did that, but I did. And she ended up seeing me. They knew what kind of car I had, everything. She ended up seeing me. My cousin was like, Michelle, no, I think we need to go. The girl tried to race me, but I have something like a sports car, so she wasn't able to catch me. I ended up calling my fiance's mother and telling her everything that happened. And she was very nonchalant. She really didn't care. Let the conversation blow over and we got off the phone. And like I said, the next day when I was telling her about it, she acted like she didn't remember. So after that, we were still working on the relationship. She was coming over sometimes. We were trying to work on our trust for each other. And she said, this weekend I'm going to come over and we're going to do something together. We're going to go on a date and we're going to speed up this process. And I said, okay, whatever you want to do. So I'm in my room, and she said, so what do you want to do? And I said, it doesn't matter. She was at the house with me. She said, what do you want to do? I said, it doesn't matter. And she said, okay, well, you go ahead and start getting ready. I'm finna go to my mom's house because one of her friends is in town. And they, my mom want me to see her. So I said, okay, that's fine. While she was gone, I just got a very uneasy feeling. And so I was like, hey, texting her. Daddy want to call because she was spending time with her family. I didn't want to call, and I didn't want to go with her. So I said, she asked me to go with her, and I told her no. I said, no, I'm not going with you. I'm going to let you go by yourself. I'll get ready. I texted her. I said, well, hey, what's going on? Why is it taking you so long? Oh, we just sitting around playing cards, taking shots and all of that. And I said, okay, fine. Something said, after like an hour or two, something said, look at her location. Now, she thought she turned the location. She thought that she never shared her location with me after we started working on the relationship again. And when I told her that I didn't see the location, neither one of us thought to go back to check and see if it was still there. So when she left to go to her mom's house, the location was still on. Something said, go look at her location. I pulled up the location, and she was at her mom's house. Well, maybe an hour or 30, 45 minutes later, I looked at her location again, and she was no longer at her mom's house. She was somewhere closer to me. It was maybe like 9 minutes away from my house. So I said, who house is this? So I'm thinking it's her cousin's house, auntie house, and something just kept, every time I had a question about something or I felt something, I got an answer. And it was hitting back to back to back to back to back. And something said, no, that's not her cousin's house. That's just to be blunt. I feel like it was God just telling me, no, that's not her cousin's house. So I kept looking and I kept looking, thinking, hoping that she would leave. And I kept looking and I said, as what I had on, I put on my slides. I told my son, I said, hey, I'll be back. I'm finna go. He could sense something was wrong because he was like, everything all right? I said, no, everything is fine. I'll be back. I had a bonnet on my head too. Got in my car and I said, Lord, if it's meant for me to see whatever this is, whatever is happening, don't let her leave. Let her still be there when I get there. I pulls up to the house and God again, this is the girl. She had moved. She moved from out her mom's house and got her own place. And when I pulled up, it was like a house and then like an apartment on the corner next door to the house. So I was more so in front of the apartment than I was in front of her house. I got out of the car, went in the gate, getting ready to knock on the door. And it was something came over me so strong. God said, get out of this gate now, like right now. So I got out of the gate. I didn't want to get out of the gate. I wanted to cause hell. I wanted to fight. But I got out of the gate, got back in my car, and I sat there. And I'm calling, I'm texting, and I'm just like, hey, where you at? Oh, I'm still at my mom's house. And I said, you are? I said, what are y'all doing? She made up another lie. I said, just stop it. I see your car. I'm outside. I know you at the girl house. Just come on. Just come on outside. What are you talking about? I'm at my mom's house. I said, look out the window and you'll see my car. You're not at your mom's house. Come outside. I'm calling. She's sending me the voicemail. So I did not pull off. The girl, I see them looking out the window. The girl walks out the door, comes to her car, and I'm just sitting there. First, I'm looking for anything to flatten tires. Since you want to be here, you're going to stay here. I'm trying to flatten tires, bust out windows. I'm calling phones because I don't have nothing. It's a brand new car. I don't have anything in my car. And I'm not a violent person, so I didn't keep things in my car at that time. So I'm calling people. Nobody is answering the phone. So nobody was able to bring me a weapon. I wanted a weapon. So I'm sitting there. The girl walks outside. She goes and get in her car. She goes to her glove. I can see what she's doing. She goes to her glove compartment. She pulled out a gun and she starts shooting. And I sat there. I mean, I don't know why I was so bold, but I just sat there. No, she did not aim the gun at my car. She aimed the gun kind of like, you know, shooting up in the air, almost like a warning shot. It was like, leave. But I'm not in front of your house. I'm not on your property. So if you shoot me or you shoot at me, I have every right to call the police, and you will be the one, you know, going to jail or however the law, however that works. So I asked, once there was somebody walking along the sidewalk, I said, is this a girl that lives here? And this is before she came out. And the guy was like, yeah, they just moved there. So that kind of confirmed who house it was. And when she came out, of course, I knew exactly who it was then. So I'm sitting there as she's shooting up in the air and she talking noise, and I'm just sitting there watching them. I didn't leave. She goes back in the house, and my fiance is texting my phone. When the girl is out here shooting and all of that, you in the house. You did not come outside. You did not come to the car. You didn't tell her to stop. You're in the house like a coward. And she's texting my phone, please leave, please go. I will call you once I leave. You need to leave. I said, I'm not going nowhere till you come out of this door. Of course, I was cussing. I was saying all kind of things. And she would not step foot out that door, so I called her cousin. Her cousin came, went to the door. She was trying to get her to come out. The cousin ended up coming back to the car, and she said, Michelle, all I can tell you is, worry about you. She said, because I asked that girl, was she being held against her will? Is she being drugged right now? Because she couldn't believe what was happening. And she said, my fiance told her, no, I'm here because I want to be. And in that moment, I couldn't even cry, because I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The person that I thought was for me, the person that I thought was on my side, the relationship that I thought was so perfect that I was fighting for, the person that was telling me that I'm getting myself together, just give me time. The person that I was begging, please stop hurting me. I mean, I'm literally telling her, hey, such and such and such, can you please stop doing this to me? One day, you're going to do something to me and I'm never going to come back to you. If that doesn't mean anything to you, okay. But if it means something, could you please stop? The person that responded to that and said, I'm going to stop. I promise you, I'm going to stop. We're just going to keep fighting. You fight for me, I'm going to fight for you. You know, all the perfect things to say. It's the same person that said that they are at this girl house because they want to be. So I had no other choice at that point but to drive off. But before I drove off, she walks out the door. I thought I saw a ghost. My eyes got so big and I just couldn't believe she walked out the door. And you know, in the moment, you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna get out the car, I'm gonna fight. But I guess reality was starting to settle in, and I had time to kind of think and get my thoughts together and just realize that it's over. All I did was just put my car in drive and just pulled up a little bit, and she hopped in her car so fast, her tint was really, really black, so you can't even see, and she pulled off on the curb. I mean, I rolled up to her, let my window down, thinking she's gonna let her window down. She walked out the house with a smirk on her face. She walked out the house, and I'm just watching her with my head to the side, just looking like, what in the world? Who are you? And she had a smirk on her face. After all of that, after everything that you've done, you had a smirk on your face. I pulled up, let my window down, thinking she's gonna let her window down. She did. She pulled off on the curb. So then her cousin followed me, and we just went up to the little store really quick so that we can talk. And she was like, she said, my cousin told me, which is my fiance, told me that the wedding was off. I said, let me show you how the wedding ain't off, because we just made a new appointment for to get them fitted and to get, you know, get different things back in track. And she was like, wow, she lied to me. And I said, yeah, I mean, that's all she's been doing this whole time is lying. She was like, okay. She said, well, all I can tell you is do what's best for you and your son. That's all I can tell you. So that was the end of the relationship. And needless to say, this girl was still calling my phone, still apologizing, still texting, still trying to come back home, still doing the same thing that she was doing after we had broken up all the other times, still sending sad songs, still telling me she's fighting for her family. It got so bad until I was sitting in my house, working in my kitchen, in my at my breakfast table, like I always do. And she had the code to my garage, and I just forgot to change it. And she bust through my, I didn't even hear my garage letting up. I was in a meeting, so I was focused, you know, with the meeting. I was paying attention to the meeting. She bust through my back door as I'm in a meeting with my manager. And she basically told me, I ain't done, well, she said it, I'm not done with you yet. You think you finna get out of this relationship, but you not. I ain't done with you yet. And I just said, I laughed and I said, okay, and let that go. She tried to tell me that, oh, I had something planned for you. I spent all this money on this trip. Can we still go? I said, no, I'm not going. At first I was gonna go. I had done started buying stuff, and then I said, you know what? No, I'm not going. Because I knew at that point I had to leave her. I had to leave her. It wasn't easy because everything that had done transpired with us. Before I totally exited out of that relationship, there was a girl that did my nails for my birthday one year. My fiance referred me to this girl. My fiance at the time was friends with the girl that do nails. She was a very good nail artist. She did a lot of celebrity nails as well. So when every time she did my nails, which she only did my nails maybe 3 times, 3 or 4. She was married, and her husband was just talking to me about my relationship, just trying to give me pointers and everything. And she was like, you know what, Michelle, I really want y'all to come to church. And I said, you do? She was like, yeah, I go to this very small church on the corner. And I just really think you should come. And I was like, I'm gonna come. And she said, I think both of y'all should come. I said, yeah, we're gonna come. And my fiance ended up coming and sitting there. It was almost like a mini therapy session. It was good. Every time I went, it was like a therapy session. And so she, my fiance agreed to go as well. Well, when we went to church, my fiance got prophesied to. And really, to be honest, I was sitting there like, what? She got prophesied to, but not me. Lord, I need a word too. Because I know you got something to say to me. Well, at the end of church, right before they got ready to let out, the pastor came to me and she said, those dreams that you're having, they are not of God. I was so confused because I knew that God blessed me with a gift, and I knew that my gift was dreams. But she told me that my dreams were not of God. So I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together. I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together. So I'm thinking like, okay, then they were from the devil. So that means that I can dismiss them. But that's not what she was saying. She said, all the headaches that you're having. And I mean, my fiance sitting there looking at me like, do you know her? Did you tell her this stuff? How does she know this stuff? And I mean, she began to just prophesy and prophesy and prophesy about things that nobody knew, nobody but me. And she started calling out certain things. And I mean, of course, in that moment, all I could do was cry because I was fighting. I was fighting against something that was much stronger than me. My family and everybody wanted me to get out of that world, but nobody understood that I couldn't. I remember being in the bathroom after telling my fiance to please stop hurting me, like stop dragging me through the mud. Can you please just stop? And she said, you know, one day I'm going to stop because I know that one day you're going to leave me and never come back. But she never stopped. So therefore, she didn't mean nothing that she was saying. And one day I was standing in my room looking in the mirror. And I told myself, I said, wow, you're never going to leave this relationship. And that is what I told myself. But I mean, I know this probably sounds crazy to some, but that wasn't me. Saying those words to myself, I've never had that type of language. I've never been the type of female, woman, lady to be in a relationship and give all of these chances to anybody to run me through the mud, walk over me like a doormat, use me, abuse me, verbally, physically, manipulate me, deceive me, lie to me. And I know that you're doing all these things. And yet I'm still fighting for the relationship. That was never me. That was the first relationship that I had did that in. So when I stood in the mirror and told myself, it's like every time I took her back, I lost a part of me. Excuse me. Every time I took her back, I became more and more dependent on her. The more and more I went back to that relationship, the more I lost myself. So just looking in the mirror, telling myself that I'm never going to leave was just, you know how they say, actions speak louder than words, but your words hold weight. It holds power. There's power in the tongue. So whenever I was telling myself in the mirror, talking back to myself, hey, you're never going to leave this relationship. Those words were powerful, and I believed what I said. Even though after I said it, it was almost like like, did you really just say that to yourself? I thought those thoughts, but I still could not change my current situation. I was powerless, hopeless, and I was still going to go through with the wedding. It's like I was being hypnotized. When I got out of that relationship, it was such a fight until I started to tell my cousin. I said, if I didn't know no better, I would feel like somebody was doing witchcraft on me, because it's no way in this world that I should have to fight this hard to leave another human being. I'm talking slinging snot, crying every day. It got to a point where I couldn't even take my son to school. I had to call his guidance counselor to make sure that he passed so that I could, to see if I was able to not take him to school. His school was a 40-minute drive, and I just didn't have the strength. I just didn't have the strength to drive him. I lost weight. I did start exercising, so I was turning my pain into purpose, but it was extremely hard. Having to drive with my son on the right side of me, not being able to control my tears, turning my head to the left, but at the same time paying attention to the road, allowing the tears to fall because I couldn't fight it, while trying to hold myself together for my son, or hold myself together, when I go around my family. They knew that I left her, but they didn't know the fight that I had to go through to be able to stay away from her. God began to speak to me. At the time, I didn't know it was God. I just thought it was just me thinking things through. She was still calling, and I had to eventually I blocked her, but at the beginning I didn't. I began to tell God in my prayers, I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this, because this ain't even what I wanted. This is not what I wanted. I didn't want to leave her. I wanted to marry her. I wanted to be with her. But the situation got so bad until I had to pull myself out. Now, when I went to church, we were still together. The lady prophesied to me, and she said, you know what? Stop doing what everybody's telling you to do and do what God tell you to do. She said, I want you to pray to God, and I want you to ask God to lead you in the right direction. And she said, and I promise you, he's going to give you an answer. I didn't do it right away. I waited. But the answer, once I did do what she told me to do, everything just spiraled out of control. And that's when the incident happened, when I caught her at the girl house and she started shooting and all of these other incidents. So it was so many things that happened. It's like God was just saying boom, 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 boom. Now you don't even have a reason to go back. You can't go back. You can't go back because I've already spoken. For me, when a prophecy goes forth, that's it. I didn't want God to take my life. I did not want God to, because I was already having dreams. And I was telling her, I was like, sometimes I feel like I'm dying in my sleep. And, you know, she would look at me like, huh? She never understood the spiritual side of me. But it's because she never had a personal encounter with God. So I couldn't really talk to her about that. And then she had her own issues that nobody besides her friends knew about. When you just look at her on the outside, you would never ever think that she was dealing with those issues that she was dealing with. And that's why she was so big on attention, big on affection, you know. So that prophecy came to the forefront. And, you know, because it did, it forced me to leave that relationship. And as I began to remember the snake that I dreamed about when I first met her, and, you know, all the signs that she showed throughout the relationship, it was signs from God showing me, hey, you know, because that wasn't the only snake dream that I had. I had multiple snake dreams. And she would always say, oh, that means that person. That means that person. And because I had so much trust in her, I believed her. But instead of me trusting God, I was believing in another human that couldn't even do things for herself. God put me in situations, the hospital, about to lose my life, you know, many different situations where I had to depend on him. And whenever I left that relationship, all I could do was pray. All I could do was pray. I mean, it got to a point where I couldn't even come out of my room. There was something blocking me. I could not come out of my room. I was stuck in my bed in my room. And I know I hear about the talks about depression and all of these other things, but I couldn't get up out the bed. I would put my face in the pillow and scream. And I'm just like, why am I going through this? She's just a person. So to me, the only thing that made sense to me was witchcraft, because this is deep. This is deeper than a soul tie. I feel like I've had soul ties before, and it was hard leaving other relationships. But this one was like, it's like I had shackles around every part of my body, and I had to break them. Well, I didn't break them. God broke them. I prayed for months. And all I said every day, my prayer was the same. God, give me strength. I pray for peace. I pray for happiness. I pray for joy. I pray for an abundance of your presence, because I cannot do this by myself. And it's like, you know, in the natural, I was walking on my 2 feet. But in the spirit, I felt like I was dragging, like my body was on the ground and nobody wasn't pulling me. I don't know what was pulling me. That's how low I felt. That's how low I felt. It wasn't my son, you know, he was a teenager at the time. He was going on with his friends, so I was stuck home by myself, and I don't know what it was about my living room. So I have 2 living rooms. Well, there's a living room where no one sits, and then there's a family room. In my family room, on the sofa that's closest to the TV is where we would spend most of our time. I could not sit on that sofa for nothing. I could barely come in my living room at all after I broke up with her, and I began to pray. And so when I finally built up enough courage to pull myself out of the bed and walk in my living room and just pray, I just felt this force. It was a demonic spirit. And I would just sit right here on this side of the living room, or even on that side, and I would look over there at my sofa, and I would just stare, because I was trying to understand, why can I not sit on this sofa? Why can I not go over there? Why am I not comfortable in my house? This got to break. This has to go. This has to stop. I cannot live my life like this, and I'm not leaving my house. This is my house. This is my house. And whatever is in here that doesn't need to be in here, that is not supposed to be in here, has to go. I prayed every day. I went to church all the time, every Sunday. I didn't go on Wednesdays, but I went every Sunday, and I just kept going. And I kept going, and I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I did not know how this was going to work. Is it still recording? I did not know how this was going to work. I did not know when these shackles was going to break off of me. I didn't know when I was going to get my mind back. I did not know when I was going to see the light of day. The sun was shining, but when I looked outside, when I drove my car outside in the sun, I saw pitch black. I wasn't happy. I did not have no peace. I could not sleep at night. I had bags under my eyes. I was skinny. I mean, I'm slim, but I was like small. I was small. I lost a lot of weight. I wasn't eating. And to cope, I was drinking. I was having parties at my house. I was getting drunk, going to bed, laying down, hanging out, drinking and driving, not knowing how I was getting back home. And then it got to a point where I was like, Michelle, what are you doing? You're praying for deliverance, but do you really want it? You know, because if you do, you got to stop doing this, because you're still not going to get it. You're just replacing one bad habit with another bad habit. So I was going through the motions. And I finally graduated from my trade school. That was a big relief. And I started working in my field for what I went to school for. I went back to work from having COVID. Things ended up getting better, I would say, about 6 months out. But she never stopped. She never stopped trying to come back. She never stopped calling my phone. She never stopped. I mean, it got to a point where she came and tried to move in with me after I had my baby boy. She wanted to be his godmother. She asked if she could move in to my house with me so that I could help her save money on buying her own house. She apologized for how she did me. It got to a point where there was a very large bill, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, that was linked to both of our names. I'm going to say God. I didn't have the money to pay for that. I stopped paying for it. I stopped making payments on it because my house and my children and my car was more important. And I told her that. I'm not going to pay for that. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I got all the money in the world, because I don't. I can't afford to pay for that. So I'm not paying for it. It did come to a point where God made her pay for it. She had to pay the whole thing off, and it's still mine. Those people that went after her, that basically sued her, told her that they could not locate me. They could not find my job. So therefore, they didn't have to garnish my wages. They garnished hers. Then I did tell her, oh, I would give you money on it, but I didn't have the money to give to her. I had my own things going on in my own life, and I didn't have the money to give to her. She called my phone, do you hate me that much? I don't hate you at all. By that time, God did such a great work in my life. I was able to take her off block. I was able to see her out in public. I was able to see her on Facebook, see her on wherever. God did such a major work in my life. I was ecstatic because I had to fight. When you're coming out of something that has such a strong hold on you, you have to fight for it if you really want it. I had to stay in my Bible. I had to stay in church. I had to stay in prayer. I had to fast, and I had to be intentional about what I wanted God to do for me. And it wasn't all about what I wanted God to do for me, but faith without works is dead. I had to put forth an effort. That means that, eventually I turned down the bottle altogether. You're talking to a stone cold, I'm delivered from that. A delivered stone cold. I wasn't a full-blown alcoholic. I feel like there's levels to alcoholism, but I was a heavy drinker. I'm talking go to the club and have 10 drinks, 5 shots. Did not know how I got home, and never got in a car accident. Wake up the next morning, hangovers. Got up and did it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and just over and over and over and over. It got to a point where after I broke up with her and God delivered me from that homosexual lifestyle, the deliverance didn't stop there. It kept going. God kept going with me. He took the taste of alcohol out of my mouth. It got to a point that whenever I tried to take another drink, it made me sick. I couldn't even stomach the taste of the alcohol. Now all I can drink is wine, and I can barely drink that. I have a bottle of white, I think it's white Zinfandel in my refrigerator that has been in there for a month. I can barely even drink wine. And I know some people may say, well, how do you know? Well, first of all, that was about, my baby boy is going to be 2 this year. That was about 4 years ago since I left that relationship. I know that I'm delivered because an opportunity has already presented itself multiple times. People studs were in my inbox. Sometimes films was in my inbox. Film is a feminine lesbian. In my inbox, shooting their shot, trying to talk to me, wanting to, let's see what this relationship would be about. And I didn't do it. And I still haven't done it. And God has already told me and sent confirmation to me to let me know that era of my life, that season of my life is over. I don't have to worry about that spirit anymore. That lifestyle, it came. What the devil meant for bad, God meant for good, and now I have a testimony. I have a testimony now to share with others that is looking to come out. I am just here to tell you that it is possible. The devil is going to be in your ear. He's going to tell you that you can't do it. He told me I couldn't do it. Oh, you left her 5 times. You might as well go back. You can't breathe. You might as well go back. You can't sleep at night. That's because you need her. You can still go to church with her. She'll go to church with you. She went before. Just go back. Just go back. Just go back. I mean, it was so loud. It was so loud in my ear. Even though there was nobody here, no TV was on, nobody in my house, it was just me. The silence rung so loud in my ears, and I was here all by myself, and all I could do was just scream. I felt like I was losing my mind. Like, why am I screaming? Why am I hearing nothing? Why is the silence so loud? Now I understand what R. Kelly was talking about in his song. The silence was so loud. I can't say that enough, because it's real. When you're going through certain things in your life and you have to fight your battles by yourself, people want one thing for you, but God brought the separation. God brought about the separation. We as humans, we want things to go one way. We want it to be over right now. I want it to be over right now for my sister. I want it to be over right now for my daughter, for my mother, for my friend. This is my family, the people that was close to me. They could see the destruction. They could see where I was headed. I couldn't see it. I thought that was my love. I thought that was a person for me. But God had something different. He had something different for me, and I couldn't see it. It took everything that I just shared with you all. It took everything that happened in my life for me to be able to sit here right now and tell you all the outcome, the testimony, the bigger picture. If I can do it, so can you. My name is Michelle Holloway, and thank you so much. Duval!